Hi, everybody. Wow, this is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live, hopefully, on a Friday lunchtime. Just want to let you know that it's great to be here. And for those of you who have been patiently waiting for me to start the broadcast, lots of technical problems and probably due to the snow and everything that's going on. But the main thing is I'm here now, and so very warm welcome to you all. I'm hoping that you can all hear me. And I was going to do this broadcast from my kitchen as usual so that I could get things back to normal, but for some reason that computer wouldn't load properly. But then I found one didn't either, but we got here eventually. All right. I'm not seeing any chat yet, so hopefully we will get that going in a second as well. Today, I'm going to be talking about my mastectomy 3 weeks later, about recovery. And that's what my quotes are going to be about today as well, because I think that recovery is in itself an absolute mentality thing. All right. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. And thank you for telling me that the chat is working. As you can probably see, and one of the things I saw, a really nice quote, and it said, recovery is a process, and it takes time, patience, takes friends. And before I get on to my story, I just wanted to, first of all, give condolences to Jeannie. You might have seen that she, unfortunately, her husband York passed this week. Very unexpectedly, he suddenly had a stroke, and it was very serious, and he passed a few days later. So our thoughts and prayers are with Jeannie, and hopefully, those of you who are in contact with directly, you will be the friend that she needs at this time, because she was just literally getting ready for the U.S. Thanksgiving. And he had this stroke and ended up in hospital and then into hospice and then gone. Really, really scary stuff. So thoughts and prayers and lots of hugs to Jeannie as she copes with everything that she needs to cope with. In France, who her grandmother passed this week in a week, who gave thoughts and prayers for just to let you know, she had, if you don't know, she fell on a metal staircase and really badly injured herself in terms of bruising and everything else. But I hear from Alice this week that she actually has gone back to work. So everything is fine there. So hi, Jenny, good to see you. So if there are any others of you, birthdays. Why did I not do birthdays? So sorry. I know that it's Pat's today. So happy birthday, Pat. And I seem to remember that we've also got another one coming up. I personally have to tell you, it's hard to believe. Hopefully, you will get to read and listen to the front end some later date. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. If there's anything you want me to tell the world, just type it in here and I will obviously read it out for you so that it can stay on the video. So is this: what you went through has a purpose. So does your life. And you will get through this trying time. Remember that what you went through has a purpose. And so does your life. Okay? Focus on your purpose and you will get through this very trying time. And I really would say that your condolences for Jeannie. Yeah, what an incredible, no preparation for this at all. It came out of the blue. 1 minute he was there and the next minute he was gone. So Jeannie's saying that she's not getting any sound. So from that perspective, you may want to either refresh or just come back into the feed. I actually, if you can refresh, it'll probably work. How about this one? Sometimes life is about dreams, your hopes, and visions for your future. Some days when life is just about putting one foot in front of the other. Okay, so I would say that it is really important that we understand this. Some days are going to be more difficult than others. Jeannie, I said earlier, and I'm going to repeat it again because I can see that you're definitely here now, which is that, there are no words that we can give you to make this right for you. And I totally get that. But just know that a lot of people deeply care, and that will be some comfort to you. And certainly, I know that it is one of those things that we have to deal with in our lives, whether we want to or not. Very, very sad stuff. So for those of you who don't know, I had this mastectomy 3 weeks ago, but this is, not something that I obviously had planned. Just to give you the chronological, timeline on this one. In August, I went for a routine mastectomy. By September, I was told that I needed to come back for September. They also told me that I was going to need a needle biopsy, or where they're going to put a needle into my boob and check some cells out. And so I went in September to go and have that done, or was that October? No, September. I had that done. Hi, Sonia. And the interesting thing was that they found what they call DCIS, that is ductal carcinoma, that's cancer, in the duct. So I had cells lining, in my boob. And then, interesting. Jenny's just saying that South Korea got into the group of 16. They just won the football. Well done, Jenny. I know how exciting that must be for you. Anyway, so I was told that I needed to have this, needle biopsy done. In October, I went in, or was it the end of September? Anyway, round about the end of September, early October, I went in for this needle biopsy. When I was there waiting to have the needle biopsy, they came to talk to me and know something. Everything that we're looking at says that we actually need to do what's called an open wound biopsy, which means that they basically were going to cut me open and take out a small steak so that they could analyze it properly. And they did that. And the results came through a couple of weeks later when they told me some of those invasive cancer cells had actually come out of the duct and were now in my boob. And, long story short, I went from having a mammogram to having a mastectomy in a couple of months. And it's been 3 weeks. And if you didn't know I'd had it, doesn't know. I have it. I'm back to doing just about everything. I can stretch above my arm and my head. I can twist properly. I can, well, as I did want to is some of what I found interesting was they not only, took the boob, but they also took from my armpit, they took out count them, 3 lymph nodes. And what they wanted to know is, did any of those cells get that far? And the answer was no. And so touch word, and thank you for your prayers, always important. I am what they call a cancer patient. I'm not a survivor yet. It takes 10 years of being post-op before they can say that I'm clear of cancer. So here I am. I really appreciate all the positive thoughts that a lot of you gave. And I want to tell you that that whole business about having friends at a time like this is really, really important to me. So much so that I know I've got a neighbor up the street here who went through a major cancer operation and just heard that she's not going to survive this, and she maybe has a year. So you understand, this isn't just about me, it's about everybody else that's dealing with this. I've been very, very fortunate, and I am just so grateful that I went and had that mastectomy when I did. So here are some of the things I thought you might want to know. Jeannie is just telling me that she's come in on a different phone. And you know, Jeannie, I had problems getting in today, so maybe it isn't just me. Hi there, Hawkeye. Good to see you. So some of the things that people said to me that I found really empowering, you know, things like, obviously people said, I hope you do well, and, you know, my thoughts and prayers are with you. But the fact that people actually contacted me to make sure I was okay, you know, really touched my soul. Oh gosh, Hawkeye also had a grandmother pass. Oh, that is so sad. You know, that's three people that we know of that passed this week. You know, isn't that amazing? But Hawkeye's saying she was 102. What an incredible age to live to. And, you know, hopefully her memory will continue to be a blessing as I, you know, hope for Jeannie with York's passing and obviously Manon with her grandmother passing as well. I wonder whether that is normal at this time of the year. When I say normal, you know, I wonder whether it's a, you know, it seems to me unusual that in this 1 week we've had three people pass. I don't know why. Yeah, Hawkeye's saying it's been a tough week for a lot of people. It certainly has. I want to say that people said such nice things to me. You know, they said they wish me a speedy recovery, but they weren't too worried about me because it's me. You know, it was just like it was like they would be worried about somebody else, but not about me. And there's sort of two ways to take that, right? But you know, in a way, I guess they're right because so much of recovery is your mentality. And just to give you some idea of my mentality, I got 80,000 steps in last week. That is over 11,000 a day average, right? And that is part of my mentality. The faster I get my body moving again, the better for my recovery. And you remember that I had that statement made by my surgeon when I asked, could I go back onto my little mini exercise bike? And she said, absolutely, and overdo it rather than underdo it. And now I have a new program on my Wii console that helps me get walking, and it's great. So I want to say that it has been a remarkable time for me. And what I do want you all to know is that you are stronger than you think you are. You are stronger than you think you are. And, you know, we all watched Jeannie as she went through that house fire and how she coped with that. And it'll take, you know, a year for you to even start feeling that you even probably want to carry on with your day. I really want you to know that this is something that people have survived, though not willingly. And I know that you have a mentality that is very strong, and I witnessed that over the last few years. And therefore, I have I'm going to say the same to you as people said to me, which is, you know, I'm not, I know this will be a tough time. But I know you will survive this. Jeannie is saying, I found myself having to say no to various important things this week. And she said, thanks, Sal. Well, thank you, Jeannie, for all you did to support me through my operation. So the good news, everybody, is that I actually got the news very quickly that I was, that they didn't find anything else and I could get on with my life. I say to people that I know that my close friends and I all exhaled. It's just like, whew. There was no waiting. Do I need chemo? Do I need radiation? Do I need all of the next steps? And the answer was no. So I am very lucky that I dodged that silver bullet just by going for a mammogram and catching this that early. And that is what I'm hoping that you all get out of this. It said here that recovery is a process, as is grieving, by the way. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes everything you've got. And Jeannie, I am pretty certain that your main goal every day is just to put one foot in front of the other. And to keep your grieving, in a wherever possible in a healthy for you compartment. In other words, you're going to be cooking and you're suddenly going to have a wave of sadness come over you, and that's quite normal. And just take that moment and be sad, but then get on with your life. And I know that is what you will do, because I know your emotional intelligence already. But it's okay to cry. And it's okay to miss York, and it's okay to feel whatever you are feeling at this time. And I want to tell you one of the things that I found when I was, coming out of my operation was I was surprised how little I felt in terms of negative emotion. And I know it surprised both Doug and Jess, who were looking after me. It was just like I just wanted to get back to my life. And I worked really hard to do that. And as you can see by the number of steps I'm taking a day, I am continuing to work really hard to make sure that my body's moving and I'm not going to get slowed down by post-operative stuff. By the way, again, I made sure that I got permission. And as some of you know, the scar goes from round about here, there, I can feel it, to under my armpit. So that is a pretty big scar. And it was, I don't mind telling you, it was nasty when you looked at it. It was, all swollen and, it was, oh. But bit by bit, every week, it is calming down. And then, and so I know that this week there's been incredible reduction in the swelling from about here to here. And there's been a change in the numbness that I had here. Do I feel revitalized? No, not really. I feel a bit lopsided, but I'm going to get into that bit just in a second. No, it's been a nice question. You mean because I got another shot at life? Is that? I just want to make sure I understand where you're coming from with that question. Do I feel revitalized? One of the things that I know the surgeon said to me when she heard how many steps I was taking, this is post-operatively, she said, "Oh, is that the new you?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "Well, is that the new you?" And I said, "No, it's the old me. I know it doesn't look like it, but the old me really tries to get in enough steps every day." Excuse me a second. So Hawkeye is asking me about my mental state. Yeah, I describe it as exhaling, Hawkeye. He's asking, just getting that peace of mind. I want to tell you, in the second that the The surgeon walked into where I was sitting, and she was holding a piece of paper. She was smiling, and she just literally, her opening words were, "It's okay. We didn't find any more cells where we was trying to see whether they'd reached that far. You are okay." Um, and I must admit, in that moment, Hawkeye, I said this in a previous broadcast, I cried. You know, the tears, obviously, just of relief, started, and I hugged her and thanked her for saving my life, because that's what I believe she did. So when you're dealing with somebody who's had a major operation like this, or somebody who has had somebody pass, um, do you understand there will never be the right words? But what I would ask you to do is to remember to acknowledge who they are and the strength that it takes to cope with it. I want to tell you, I felt more sorry. This is a really strange thing. I had great feelings of sadness for both Jess and Dougie trying to look after me. Apparently, I got a lot of hair today. Trying to look after me. And they both were stunned how little I complained or cried, or, it just they expected me to be curled up in a ball, um, you know, crying in pain and stuff. Luckily, the medication I was on managed to cover that pain quite successfully. And I was off the serious drugs within a couple of days. And then I slowly, within 10 days, I was weaning myself off the Tylenol. So I really wanted to get me back again as quickly as I could, and I worked hard to do it. So I would like to say that it's difficult for me to believe, quite honestly. I had to go back and check that I was right. It's hard for me to believe it's 3 weeks since the operation, because to give you some sort of context around that, it snowed here a few days ago. And by the way, it's just starting to snow again. And I had to, yeah, Sandy, hi, good to see you. Yes, I know it's your son's birthday coming up. So it's tomorrow, right? So that's wonderful. I hope he has a wonderful birthday. Thank you for popping in, by the way. I appreciate it. So it snowed, and one of the things that I noticed was that before I went into the operation, everybody said that, don't worry, we've got your back, whatever you need. And I said that, that was so kind of them. And what I kept saying to people was, the one thing that I can think of where I probably will need help is if it snows. And it was really sad because it snowed, and I noticed that other people's driveways were cleared and mine wasn't. Isn't that wonderful? Hi, Trina. Trina's in Ireland, in Cork. She said, "Hi, Sal. Good to see you looking so well. Everybody, I can pop in for a while. My phone, I'm sitting in my car with my phone, all right? Am I waiting for my daughter to finish work? That is awesome." All right, so Jeannie's saying from her life and the passing of York that things are going well, and the funeral will be on live stream. I just want to check with you. That is a good thing because more people can be aware of it. Or the other thing is, Jeannie, when you send me the link, do you want me to share that link with other people? That is what I would wondered, whether you want other people to be able to see it if they want to. I must say that it's amazing that the technology has got there, that we can do that. Um, it's just like, can you believe that our technology has got that far? Talking about technology, this is going to make hopefully some of you smile. But you know, did you know that you can buy a fake boob online now? In fact, many of them. And I didn't realize that that was possible. You could go to Amazon and buy a fake boob. I mean, seriously, people, can you imagine that? Um, so, of course, I did. And I'm pretty certain that some of you are wondering, what does that feel like? Well, I want to tell you, it is very funny. Um, when I say it's very funny, because I this would have been easier if I'd been in the kitchen. Okay, let me try and do this. It means now that I can wear a bra again, all right, and that's awesome. But what I found originally was that this boob, the fake one, sat higher. So I was sort of like this angle with boobs. And so I had to lower this strap a bit so that I've got equally hanging boobs. So that is, you don't think about that. So when you're talking to somebody who's going through a major stress thing like this, it's okay to tell them that you don't have the words. All right? They will understand that. They don't have the words to describe what they're feeling either. So, don't say everything is going to be all right, because it will never be the same. All right? You can imagine Jeannie's life is never going to be the same. She's going to find out the hard way all the things that York did do, because as she goes through each day, she'll be thinking, oh, I better go and take the garbage out now, because that was something that York used to do, or I better do this or do that, and then she'll say, it'll be constant reminders. And that's why I always say to people, be very patient with yourself for the first year. Very patient, because you've got to reframe everything. You've got to go through your first Christmas alone. You've got to go through, you've already been through the first Thanksgiving alone. You've got to go through the first Christmas alone, the first Valentine's Day, birthday, all those high days and holidays where you did things together. You're going to need to do that. You're going to see his chair that he always sat in, right? And I think it was interesting that Jeannie was telling me a bit about Misty Moore, her dog, and dogs feel the loss as well. So just remember that we need to sort of care about that. I found, yeah, Hawkeye's asking Jeannie how long they were together for. So that's a very nice question to ask. I had a couple of visitors come visit me this week, and I've got two more coming tomorrow, two separate people coming tomorrow at two different times. Um, I know that people are shocked, quite honestly. They're shocked that I look the same, I sound the same. I'm, they, as they said, if I didn't know you'd had a major surgery, I wouldn't know. And I said, that's good. I'm pleased about that. Um, I would say that overall, I am almost totally back to normal. That's how I feel. Wow, interesting. Jeannie's saying about the garbage. She's saying that I didn't know how to deal with the trash without asking a neighbor for help. Yeah, you're going to have, you're probably going to have that happen quite a bit. So I want to go back to my story about the snow and my neighbors saying, don't worry, we've got your back. And I realized by the early afternoon of the snowfall that nobody had come to clear my driveway. And then I knew that the temperature was going to start freezing. And if I let that snow freeze on my driveway, it would be almost impossible to get out. And so, therefore, what I did was I said, I need to go out and do it myself. Now, that is not something that I wanted to do, quite honestly, in terms of my recovery. And I know that people were very hesitant about my doing it as well. But I needed to do it. If I didn't do it, I would put myself at risk. And the reason for that was that the snow plow had gone down the road, and the plow had moved snow onto the end of my driveway, and it was high. So if I didn't get rid of that pretty quickly, it was going to freeze like that, and I would not be able to get out of there, with my car if I had an emergency. And what I did is I started to do it, and I got a pathway down the side so that people could, Amazon could get to me easily. I also started working on the bottom section, where there were bits of snow. The plow had left snow banked up about, I would say, 8 inches. And that was surprisingly nasty snow. It was what I call wet snow, not dry, fluffy stuff. It was heavy, wet snow. And I was about halfway through clearing the bottom of my driveway when a neighbor drove by and said, I've just got to go out for an hour, but when I come back, I will help you. And so I was very grateful for that. Of course, there was part of me that went, I'll believe that when I see it. But what I did was I did the best I could. So how amazing was it that I could not only, move the snow down the driveway, and I've got a steep driveway. I could move the snow down just by holding the snow shovel, at my waist and just pushing. That's how I did it. And then, when I pushed a bit, then I was able to lift it. I was truly surprised that I was able to do that. I had enough body strength back. However, by the time I had done the walkway down to the road, which isn't that long, probably about 15, 20 feet, and then cleared the high bank at the bottom of my driveway, I knew that that was enough. I didn't want to do any more. And so I just thought, well, now if my neighbor comes, he can perhaps clear a bit more. And if he doesn't, then at least I can still get out. And by the way, I want to tell you that the road outside here is solid ice. It is scary. Obviously, when they did the snowplow, they left a layer of ice, and now that ice has frozen. So think about that. Even if I could get out, I'd be driving on solid ice. So it's a pretty scary thing. All right. So Jeannie's just updating us. She's just telling Hawkeye that she and York were together for 30 years. That's an incredible length of time. And it was their second marriage for both of them. So it's wonderful that you found that happiness. And as I said, may his memory be a blessing to you and your family. And Jeannie's also saying that the two of them met at her brother's yard sale. So how many of you can understand I had to take a deep breath and have some forgiveness? And the other thing is, I've got to think about what I'm going to do in future about things like my driveway and snow. Because I'm pretty sure at my age I shouldn't be doing it anyway. It's hard work. So I'm going to have to see if I can find myself, somebody that I can pay to do it for me if necessary. And, I was so glad I did what I did that, because it did freeze solid the overnight of the snow. And then now it's starting to snow again. So now what we've got is fresh snow over ice on the road. That's going to be really nasty. I was going to go out and get some ice. When the neighbor came back and actually did my whole driveway, he said, "Where's your ice?" And I said, "I don't have any." It was meant to be delivered 2 days earlier, but it wasn't, and I'm still waiting for it now. It was meant to be delivered on Monday, ready, and they keep apologizing, but it still hasn't happened. So they told me yesterday that there should be a delivery today, but we'll see. I again, I'm living in I'll believe it when I see it mode. And then he said to me, "Oh, the store up the road here has got it." And I didn't want to say to him, I can't lift that sort of weight. How many of you know the weight of a bag of salt? Right? What is it, 50 pounds? And I may be able to stretch and do certain things, but a 50-pound bag of salt, lifting it up high enough to get it into my car, no, I'm not ready for that yet. It is interesting, Jeannie is saying that her son has been so helpful with all that she's trying to do, funeral arrangements and things. And Hawkeye is saying, yeah, it's lovely words. Thank you, Hawkeye. He's saying not just the love you have for him, but also the love that he had for you remains in your heart. Yes, and it will remain in your heart forever. And, it's just like, you know how to deal with loss, Jeannie. You had the fire. And I know it sounds strange to say, that was your training ground, but I'm pretty sure that you can see that is what it was, your training ground. You were, life taught you how to deal with devastating loss. And even though you got your house rebuilt, it still wasn't your house, the one that you started with, right? It was different. Yeah, and Jeannie's saying, bless you to that, Jeannie's saying that, please be good to yourself. And I want to tell you that's what has been interesting to me, is that people really have been saying nice things to me. But, Jeannie, I can say to you, be good to yourself. And I'm pretty certain you'd roll your eyes a little bit and say, yeah, like if I get a chance to, I will. Because right now you're not in be good to yourself mode, am I correct? You are in get it done mode, because you've got a funeral coming up. Yeah, and Jeannie's saying that York was so good to her. Yeah. And, the wonderful thing that I believe is that, each time you remember how good he was to you, that he will also feel it as well. So keep remembering those good things. Do so with love, not with sadness, because he gave it with love. And I'm certain he would not want you to be sad. How about this one? It's good to see that you're recovering. This is another quote about in recovery, right? Continue being a fighter that takes charge of your own health. How many of you feel that you are in charge of your health? Trina's saying, hi, Trina. Trina's saying, if you have a visitor calling, maybe you can get them to pick up the salt for you on. That's what I was thinking. I've got a list, funny enough, Trina, on my microwave. And that's what I was going to show you when I did the broadcast from the kitchen. I have a list of things I need visitors to help me with. All right. Because that I realize there are certain, I need to turn the mattress on my bed, to swivel it around. I can't turn it over. It's not that sort of mattress, but I need to swivel it. It's that time of the year. I have my boxes of Christmas stuff under my deck. I need somebody to help me get those out and into the house. There's a third thing that I've got something else. But yes, I was waiting for somebody to say, can I get you anything as I come in? Now, the thing is this, I thought if I tell them to pick me up a bag of salt, the other bag of salt will arrive. You know that. But I was thinking better to have 2 bags of salt rather than none. I wonder if you will agree with me. Yeah. Yeah, and Captain Hawkeye is saying to Jeannie here, all right, it sounds like he really took good care of you, Jeannie. So I think the best thing you can do for him is to take care of yourself on his behalf, because that's what he would want. Absolutely. Wow, interesting. Jeannie, it's those little things that really blow your mind. Am I right? Listen to what Jeannie just wrote to me. She said, Sal, I have to buy proper shoes for the funeral. I lost all mine in the fire. Yes, I don't know about if any of you understand this, but I also had a fire this year, so totally understand what Jeannie's talking about. It's just like, yeah, if I had shoes, I would wear the right ones. Well, I don't. And when you rebuy, you're inclined to buy the shoes that you need for your everyday life. You don't buy shoes for a funeral, right? And so totally get that, Jeannie. I hope that there's part of you that can smile about that. And you know, it's like not only do I have to organize a funeral, but I got to buy shoes now as well, and shoes that I probably won't wear a great deal. And again, recommend you get them sooner rather than later so you can wear them in a little. I would suggest the way that I learned to do that in a hurry, because when I was a public speaker, Jeannie, was that I'd walk around the house in them, but I put socks on my feet before I wore them so that they'll be stretched a little bit. So, how many of you understand that there was a bit of me that felt really sad that the neighbors who said, "Don't worry, we've got your back," that really wasn't what I had. And then I realized that I've got 2 lots of neighbors, some that work and others that are my age anyway. So the reality is I need to make a plan for myself that doesn't rely on my neighbors. How about this quote about recovery? It said, "You were brave enough to decide on surgery." How many of you agree that that was a choice? I had a choice whether to go in for that surgery or not, because every decision we make is a choice. And one of the things I noticed about courage was Jeannie setting boundaries with various members of her family when they wanted to freak out um, in the hospital and so forth. And she was very strong on setting boundaries. And she was writing to me, and I said, "Hey, it's okay to get the nurses to help you deal with your family members. They've been through this before. They know what to do." And the nurses are wonderful about just being able to pull one family member aside and have a little chat with them, like a mother would, but didn't want to at that particular time. The reason I know that is because I've been party to that in my life, and they have a wonderful way of being compassionate, but also setting the boundaries for visitors. Uh, I don't know about you, but there's part of me that goes, I understand that it takes courage to carry on. It takes courage to. Um, how many of you can understand that part of me goes, if it was in my boob, is it elsewhere? And there isn't a test you can take to find that out. All right. You just have to pray that that is the case. But how many of you also can understand that part of the ugliness of it all is that every twinge you get in your body, I wonder whether that's another twinge of cancer. And if you remember, that was my whole thing. That's why I went for the mammogram. I got a twinge high up here in my boob. And that was unusual. And I didn't understand it. And I decided to go and have the mammogram. And look what happened. And so I was shocked when they told me the cancer wasn't here. It was much lower down. And it was confirmed by the biopsy. But isn't it strange that I had the sensation up here? And I really want you to remember that I didn't even go to a doctor. In BC here in Canada, I had the right to be able to just book my own mammogram. And so I didn't even go to my doctor to discuss this. And part of the reason I realized that I didn't was I was pretty sure that my doctor would say, well, you've probably just strained a muscle, so let's leave it for another month or two and see how it is. I didn't want to have that conversation. I didn't want to be delayed for 2 months. Right. Trina saying, I'm going for my first mammogram on the 22nd. Way to go, Trina. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. And thank you on behalf of all the people who are near and dear to you. Thank you for doing that. The strange thing is, Trina, that they say after after 75, which I now am, they stop telling you to have mammograms. And I'm not going to stop having mine. I will probably have one every year now. So Trina's saying over 50 now, and that's when they send appointments. Yes. Good. I'm glad you're going to do that, honey. I know it's not fun, but it's one of those things that needs to be done. And I look at it and go, there's some funny things about this whole thing. I cannot tell you how excited I was when my fake boob arrived. Can any of you imagine that? I'm going, oh, wow, wasn't that interesting? And how heavy it was made me realize, that I was going to be carrying that weight on that side again. But the thing you don't think about, and sorry, bye, Trina. Thanks for popping in. The thing that you don't realize is that it actually is heavy, but also it is cold. Silicone is cold. And one of the things I dread every morning that I get dressed and I go to put my bra on is the feel of that cold silicone touching this sensitive part of my body. And it's just amazing how cold it is. And, there's part of me that wants to put it on top of the heater, but, I melt it or something. So I don't want to do that. But I literally sort of try and get friction on it to warm it up a bit before I put it near my body, but it doesn't seem to work very well. The other thing that you learn, and I actually should have worn something where I can show you, you realize that if you bend over, the people are going to see the scar. Why? Because when you bend over, the weight of the false boob, drops the boob down, and so that's the thing I hadn't thought about. So in the summer, I'm going to need to wear something that protects that. I don't want people having to see the scar. I don't mind. I see it every day. And it's healing beautifully, but it's just like I don't want to gross people out accidentally, and I lean over to pick something up or something like that. Little things mean a lot, right? So I look at it and go, it literally, I wish you could have seen me last night when I was thinking, how long is it since the operation? And I said, it must be 3 weeks. And I'm going, no, it must be longer than that. And I literally had to go back and look on a calendar and count those weeks. And then the reason I thought it must be longer is I never dreamt I would be feeling this good within 3 weeks. Does that make sense? I had no idea that it would be possible to feel this good within 3 weeks or this strong. No, not strong enough to pick up a big bag of salt, but overall, basically, I can lift grocery bags without any problem. I can put things in cupboards again without any problem. Although I notice that I am using my left hand still out of habit. You get out of the habit of doing things with your right hand, and you start doing it with your left. And I've got a feeling that habit will last quite a while. So I want to give you hope. If any of you ever have to have a mastectomy, I would say that the most difficult time, as people have mentioned, is that time between having the biopsy and finding out the results. And then in my case, finding out the results, that space between that and having the operation would have been much more difficult. But as I think I spent a lot of time creating in that time because I've learned to distract myself from negative thoughts. And that's something as well, Jeannie, that, just once you feel that you can breathe at all, um, take up a new hobby, do something completely different that will help occupy your mind so you're not grieving 24/7. It's, as I said, it's okay to feel sadness, it's okay to cry and all those things. Just find something to occupy part of your day when you're not doing that. It'll be better for your health. So I would say, in terms of the whole process of mastectomy, obviously the first the first week was surprisingly difficult in some ways, but pretty good in others. Dealing with tubes and drains and stuff, that's yucky stuff. But it has to be done, so that was okay. The second week, I think I was in awe of the fact I could see the scar healing so beautifully and stuff like that. Okay. Thanks, Jeannie, and we all wish you all the best with the patience and strength of courage to carry on through the next few days. I would say that second week was monumental in terms of starting to be able to do things, and then this third week was mind blowing. I really feel that if you had told me after a mastectomy within 3 weeks, I would be even considering shoveling snow. Be done, and so I did it. If you had told me you can buy fake boobs on Amazon, I would have said, really. Oh, and Jody, you remember those two shirts that I got buttoned down that had those drain pockets on the inside? I am amazed how I am still wearing them. I find them really comfortable to wear, and so they're not going to be a waste of money after all. Now, the one thing I am thinking about is taking all the extra things that I have, including my incredible pillow thing that I had. Hang on a second, I've got it. Not there. Huh. Okay, I'll bring it back for another broadcast. But that was a godsend. Even though I didn't use it very often, I know at the very beginning that pillow cover, that it was like what was it like? It was like a life jacket in a way. That was not a waste of money at all. I'm so glad I got that because it made me feel so safe when I was in a car. And, it's funny because even the people get affected. I have lovely, fond memories of everybody trying to miss potholes when I was in the car and finding that they weren't good at missing them, you know? And then you could almost feel that they could feel more pain than I could, and they were kept apologizing to me, and I said, "It's fine, really." Um, I I feel great sadness, literally tears in my eyes for all those people who really cared so much. Um, and there was nothing I would like to really, if something I haven't mentioned that needs to be mentioned was the incredible network feeling about my recovery. I had it all set up that Jess was my point person, all right? And she undertook to tell Yvonne what was going on. Whatever she felt Yvonne needed to know, she was texting Yvonne directly. And Yvonne had a huge list of people that she would pass that information on to. This was, on the day of the surgery. And, the fact that they did that was incredible. And and then, what surprised me was I was able to literally take back that responsibility pretty darn quickly. My mind was fine. It was my body that was sore, not my mind. And so I was grateful to have that distraction, as I was recovering. And I thought I'd be doing a whole lot of things like crochet and stuff like that, but no, no, not so much. Um, but it is the fact that I guess I found out more people care about me than I realized, and they care at a very different level than I realized. So it's sad that I needed to go through a major operation to find that out, but I'm also delighted to have found that out. And it is funny how people's expectation is different. As I said, the comment about, well, why don't you pop up the, oh, hi there, Alice. I was just telling people at the top end of the broadcast about your recovery. So if you have anything that you'd like to have on the video, type it now and I'll read it out so that it's on the video for people to hear later, for those people who aren't able to be here today. Hi, Kimmy. So to me, it is really important that we understand that you don't do this on your own. And even if you don't have many friends, I don't know about the rest of you, but I was really grateful for my online friends. All right. Because in some cases they seem to care more than other people. Yeah, Alice is confirming what I said at the top, so let me repeat it. She says, "Thank you. I'm doing just fine and back to work." Yep. And that was a really horrific fall that you had. And by the way, did you ever see your date again? Because she was on a first date when she did it. My mind. Um, did you ever? Oh, it wasn't a first date. Okay, I thought it was. I thought you said that it was. Well, hopefully that wasn't the last of the relationship. How many of you have had things happen in your life where it forced you to see that you were stronger than you thought you were? And maybe we can talk about that. That how many of you have had things happen in your life where if somebody had asked you, can you cope with that, you would have said no? and yet you did. You see, that is the thing that I find so fascinating about all of this, is that it forces you to realize that you are stronger mentally than you think you are, and that the will to live is, so much greater. So I'm very, very happy about that. Yeah, Alice is saying she can count a few times. Yes. And, if people had asked me, I would have said, no, there's no way I'll be able to cope with that. But, life shows you that you can. And I think I've mentioned this before, that one of the things that was interesting was when I made the decision to have the mastectomy rather than just a second biopsy type cut, was because of how it was described to me, that if that it could save my life. Yeah, Kimmy saying, Kimmy, you've got the anniversary of your pacemaker going in this month. Am I correct? Yeah. Alice is saying, hey, for her, 168 hours of labor. Yikes. All right. So if somebody had told you how painful labor was and you were going to go through 168 hours of it, you'd say, no, thank you. I'd rather not get pregnant. But, because you have no choice at the time, you do it. Kimmy, I know how frightened you were this time last year. All right. And you probably didn't think you would have the courage to go through with the pacemaker. And yet here you are, about to celebrate your first year. All right. And Sonia's saying, I have. I didn't know I could deal with it, but I did. And Hawkeye very kindly is saying, you look great for 60. Yeah. And, I look at it and go, I actually, in ways, Hawkeye, I know this sounds strange, but in ways at 75, I feel fitter and better than I did at 60. You understand? I actually feel more fit. I know I don't look it, but I feel more fit than I did when I was in my 60s. Um, that is one thing I definitely would have to say. Yes, Alice is saying that she chose to do her recovery without any pain meds. Now, Alice, I want to tell you that I got off mine as fast as I possibly could, uh, because I know that they're not good for your body. But here is the thing: there's a lot to be said for going without them. All right. One of the things I heard from Benji. Remember Benji dislocated? No, he broke his shoulder blade, all right? His scapula. He had to have that put back together again. And he chose not to have pain medication as well. And one of the things that he told me, Alice, was the advantage of not having pain medication is that your body tells you what not to do because you can feel the pain more. And, that was one of the reasons I wanted to come off the heavy drugs, is because I wanted to make sure that I was, you know, I carried on with Tylenol, but, I didn't want that heavy stuff because I wanted to make sure I didn't overdo it. And so, yeah, it is possible to do it without painkillers if you had to. I keep thinking, I don't know about you guys, but I keep thinking about, what about those poor people in Eastern Ukraine, all right, who have lived without water or electricity? I bet you they didn't think they could do that. But survival is an incredible thing. And, because they have to, and look at the temperatures that are going on. All right. I am pretty certain they're looking at their furniture and going, well, yeah, I really don't need that, all that wood in the house. And I'm certain that they're starting to just, burn their furniture just for heat. Yeah, interesting point, Alice. Alice is saying, and I totally agree with this. Yeah, you don't want to suffer, but you don't want to be numb to the pain either. Yeah, and that is exactly how I felt. I didn't want to be numb to that pain. I wanted to know where to be careful. Yeah, actually, I can tell you. Kimmy is saying she doesn't know what day she went in for her pacemaker. Let me tell you what day, because I kept a note in my spreadsheet. Hold on one second. Actually, I've got a problem with my computers at the moment, so I've got it written down here as well. I printed it out, so let me see. I'd forgotten that I did that. Hold on a second. Let me get screen back up. You had your surgery on the 8th, Kimmy. And if Sandy is still with us, which I don't think she is, but I just realized that her son is going to turn 12. So, and I wonder how that feels, Kimmy, that I kept note of the day you had your surgery and you didn't. Does that feel strange? Why did Sal keep a note of that? Because I tried to do that. And do you feel, what is your feeling when you notice that I can prove that I did that? Ah, thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure. I think you know that I care about you to a large extent. Anyway, so there you go, everybody. I want to tell you, if you had asked me how I was going to feel 3 weeks later, I would not have believed how I feel. Yeah, I didn't expect to feel this good. By the way, do you see that I can actually lift myself up, using both hands, right, to push myself up? I literally can get up if I want to. I've got that upper body strength back. And even though this is still swollen here and under my armpit, it's still a little bit swollen across here, but that is pretty important. Alice is saying, I'm so glad that you kept me updated. Yes, I think it's important to keep people updated. Because maybe you will have to go through this. How about if a friend of yours has to go through a mastectomy? How many of you are going to say, hey, I know somebody who went through it and you won't believe it. 3 weeks later, she was doing everything normally again. I literally leant into my washing machine and was pulling out my laundry with my mastectomy side this week, right? I wasn't favoring and using my left. I actually went in with my right and was doing stuff. Alice is saying, I know people who were struggling for about 4 months. Alice, one of the things I read about mastectomies was that it's considered to be one of the most painful and longest recovery things. Right, Kimmy. Kimmy's saying, listen to this one. This is very important what Kimmy is saying. She said, and thank you for your honesty on this. It's Kimmy, just confirm that it's okay for me to repeat those words. I just want to double check because I really want to address that subject. Thank you. Okay, so here's what Kimmy said, and I want you to really hear the pain in what she's saying. She said, I've been struggling with depression and weight gain from the surgery. I don't know why. All right. So the truth is that I don't know why. But one of the things I noticed is they took off, at least 2 pounds of my body, my boob, and yet I put on weight. All right. And I found that amazing. And then I went, no, maybe the extra weight is all the swelling that's happening. But I can totally understand why a year later you are feeling a little depressed and you have weight gain. I think depression and weight gain go together quite often. I managed to get rid of 3 pounds of my excess weight. I put on, Kimmy, you know how hard I worked to get rid of that 10 pounds earlier this year. I put it all back on again. I can choose, listen up here, Kimmy, I can choose to be depressed about that, or I can choose to do something to reverse it, right? And that's what I did. I said, I'm going to choose not to get depressed about it. It was what it was. And whether it's this water retention, whatever it is that has happened, thing has happened. But my job now is to get rid of it. And I literally changed my goal about how many steps a day. I was doing, 5,000 to 6,000 steps a day. I said, I want to do at least 9,000 a day and preferably more. And then, and see whether it makes a difference. And so far, as I said, I've lost 3 pounds already. And I'm on a mission to lose more. A lot of people, that's interesting that Hawkeye mentioned this. A lot of people have asked me, how am I doing mentally? Alice is saying many people get depressions after mastectomies or hysterectomies. I hope you've talked to your doctor about it. I actually talked to my surgeon about it, or rather she spoke to me about it. And she said, so we've got focus groups and stuff. I mean, we got groups support, for people after mastectomies. And then she looked at me and she said, I'm not even going to bother to recommend that to you. She said, obviously your mental process, you are not in any way depressed by what has happened. Oh, good, Kimmy. Kimmy can now identify. You see, once you start talking about it, things come, your brain starts giving you the answers. Kimmy's saying, over the weekend, something happened in our community and it triggered her. Also, remember, Kimmy, it's the 1-year anniversary of your surgery. So you're going to be grieving a little bit about the fact that you haven't got a perfect body. All right, you need a pacemaker. Now, I personally, and this is the difference, Kimmy, instead of grieving it, I would be celebrating the fact you're still alive. I think, again, answering Hawkeye's question about my mentality, I'm feeling really good because every day I'm giving thanks that I'm alive. Every day I'm giving thanks that I went to that mammogram. Every day I am giving thanks that when I was given the choice whether to have just another open wound biopsy or a mastectomy, I'm glad I chose to have the mastectomy. Why? It saved me. I would have had to go for radiation if I'd just done the second biopsy. I would, all sorts of things would have been different. And I could see that the quickest way to be healthy again would be to have the boob chopped off and get on with my life. And so I look at it, Kimmy, and go, yes, Kimmy's saying, I'm very thankful to be alive. I want to tell you, every year I would like you to really celebrate the fact you are alive, that pacemaker is doing its job. And, there's part of me that goes, think about it. We've had a change of season. We've gone into winter. But, the way I think about winter, Kimmy, as I watch the snow coming down right now, I keep going, it's one step closer to spring. All right. As you know, round about this time of the year, and I haven't done it yet, but I start counting down how many days until spring. Jody, if you're still with me here, Perhaps you could check for us. Because to me, I don't like winter. I'm not a winter person. I know people love it. I know people love the snow. I don't. That's why I live where I live, in the most southern part of British Columbia. But it's like I try to concentrate on what I feel grateful for. All right. So Kimmy's saying on the 13th that you are going to, let me make a note. I'm not sure if Jodie's still with us. So Kimmy's going for her checkup on her pacemaker on the 13th. So that is, just a few days after your first anniversary. I know that I will be getting a call very possibly, or a letter very soon from the local cancer society. And that will tell me that they want to do a follow-up with me. All right. Now, we're not sure what the follow-up will be. They may want me to take a pill every day to try and minimize the chance of a reoccurrence in the other breast or something. I don't know. But quite honestly, I'll know when I know, and I'm not going to worry about it until then. Kimmy's saying, I don't like the cold either. I'm having rheumatoid arthritis problems in my hip and knee. Yeah. How many of you have noticed that as this weather gets cooler, you have got more symptoms going on? I can assure you that after I shoveled that snow, Kimmy, I had muscles in my body that were screaming at me, screaming. And they weren't at my front, they were at my back. All right, where I was using muscles that obviously I haven't used. So, to me, it's like I am just so grateful that I'm here to be able to tell the story and that, the end of story. However, Kimmy, if you are depressed, all right, and you know it, remember to do things, right? If you remember, I stopped going into depression either before or after the surgery by being so busy doing things I love to do. I gave myself permission to spend a lot of time in my craft room, right? I gave myself permission to do that. And so I look at it and go, I have made sure that I've kept myself really busy. Am I stuffing down my feelings? No. I am well aware that I lost part of my body. I'm not in denial of that at all. I am well aware that that can have a mental effect on me, but I don't want to. All right. I don't want to dwell on that. I want to get on with what I've got left of my body and enjoy my life while I can. That is really important. And by the way, I knew winter was coming. And so I knew I needed to keep myself occupied during the winter. That's why I bought the new walking program. And it is amazing to me how wonderful that new walking program has been for me. Love it. Why? It's like playing a game. All right. Um, and, it really has helped me. I look forward to doing exercise. And Alice is saying that, she doesn't like the cold either. She lives in Denmark, by the way. And I would love to live in Southern California. I would not love to live in Southern California because, I'd rather have snow than earthquakes. Now, and I don't like snow. Yes, Alice is saying, remember like Dory in the movie, right? Finding Nemo. Keep swimming. Just keep swimming. I definitely have to tell you that I have had such joy. Hold on one second. I just count to 10 or something. I'll be right back. Once I got the muscles moving again. Hold on. One of the things that I really wanted to remind you of is how much time I spent in the craft room and why I did. I wasn't sure how healthy I was going to be after I got out of the operation. So I wanted to get a lot of Christmas stuff completed before I did that. And by the way, one of the things I loved is I learned how to make name tags like this and the envelope I made. All right. And this is for Marnie as well. So to me, and you know that I've got all sorts of things, gifts for people inside, including, this is the little, I call this the Alpine thing. Isn't it beautiful? So I had all this already done, ready for Christmas presents, but I did it before I went into the hospital. Okay. I just love that one. And somebody came to see me, Yvonne and Wade. Wade came to visit me before I went into hospital, and he saw this card, right? Some of you have seen that. And he ordered 20. Couldn't believe it. He said it really is the most beautiful card. It still has to have some writing that goes on here yet. But so I'm busy at the moment trying to make 20 of them. And one of the things I say to people is it has 17 different components to it. If you can believe that. 17 different bits go into making this card. And that takes a great deal of patience, and it takes a great deal of time. And the fact that he ordered 20 of them, part of me wanted to say, do you know how much that will cost you? And I didn't. I just went, okay. And what I'm going to do is I've nearly finished the first 6. And I think what I'll do is give him the first 6 with an invoice so that he knows whether he can make a choice whether he wants the next 14. But the good news is that they're all cut already. I've already cut the whole lot, all 20 of them. And, what if he decides he doesn't want 20? I'm going, I've got that many ready for next year, right? And what I find is that it was interesting because he particularly wanted the gold rather than the color that I had before. And, it's amazing how just changing a little thing like the color here changes the whole card. And so it's all creative, right? It's all takes time. How many of you know that building one of those, it doesn't all go well? All right? Doesn't all work every time. I was just doing the final bit of doing this. Let me try and show you how I put it. First of all, you start with the card, and then you put on these 3 flaps, okay? The dark blue. You put those on first. Now, getting those lined up and straight takes a bit of patience. Then you have got this, and that's fairly easy. This part inside here is 1, 2, 3, 4 different bits put together. Can I show you that? All right. At the very back, you've got a shortened version of this front bit. Then you've got this tower thing with the star on it. And then you've got the bit that goes on top of it, which are the white houses, right? So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces just there. Now, yesterday I was busy working on it. No, the day before yesterday. This is 1, 2, 3 extra bits there that you've got to get lined up. Then this is made from 2 different bits. Okay. You've got this bit sticks to the blue, and then the blue sticks to the background. And so it's all very, and you got to get it straight, all right? Otherwise, you got double vision going on. I got all the way to putting the last bit on, which is this one, and this, I got a mark on it that I couldn't get off. Can you imagine how frustrating that is? Because I couldn't get this off without ruining everything else. And so this has taken an hour to put together, and I've got to just chuck it. So, but here's the lesson in life that I want to tell you about this, all right? That's life, right? You spend a lifetime getting all the bits together to live a happy life. That is, if ever you wonder what's my mission in life, let me tell you what it's meant to be, that you be happy. That you be happy is your mission, all right? As best you can. And the other thing is that you need to totally get it that not everything is going to go right all of the time. Ask Jody. Ask Lionel, all right? Ask Jeannie. Ask anybody that, has been through the good and the bad. Ask Alice. Alice has been through more than her fair share for her age. Alice saying she's busy crocheting kitchen towels for her boss. Yeah. You see, it's like I decided this year I wasn't going to be buying presents. I was going to make them. And I've been making them since July, as some of you know. And the funny thing is, one of the most difficult ones to make is this one. Because the design actually is not user-friendly. It's very difficult to get these off the paper, off the cutting mat. Very difficult. And yet, you can be sure that how many people see my stuff, how many of them love this one. So it's a case of I've just had to learn better ways. You see, life is like that. The more you live it, the more you improve your quality of life. I was busy living out of a suitcase for a week. All right. How many of you know you could have what is in your house and still live very comfortably? Right. What I'm going to be doing is actually, this is my project sometime soon, to take the whole of my makeup drawer and empty it and halve it. All right. Now, it doesn't mean I have to throw things away. I just don't want it that cluttered. So what I'm going to do is take a lot of things that I know. I'm just going to look at what did I use this month? And if I didn't use it this month, it's going into a bag. I don't have to throw it away. It's going to go into a bag for either to use in emergencies or else to have another look at it a year from now. If I haven't used it for another year, then it might as well go. And I really recommend doing that. Now, one of the things I thought I'd tell you about is this evening, I've decided I will do a broadcast. Again, if I can get my other computer working, that is. But what I want to show you is how many of you have been using those disinfectant wipes in your house a lot more because of the pandemic and everything? And my question is, are you throwing those towelettes away? I want to show you this evening what I've been doing with mine. And I also want to show you how to make a very easy face wipe type stuff just for yourself. I'm going to show you the process that I've been using. So I'm hoping that that will be of interest to you. You know, I think about things like my plants, and you guys have watched me. All right. Yeah, Alice is saying letting go of the want to be perfect all the time helps. Yes, I want to tell you that there's something about our perfectionism that served us for the time that we did it. But I know that I am getting a lot tidier than I was. And the reason is because I realize I don't need all of this clutter in my life anymore. I don't know why I needed it the way I did, but now I am slowly and systematically, literally every day, I look, I look at each room and go, what one thing can I take out of here? And I'm not joking. Every day I challenge myself. It's either what one thing can I take out of here, or I will look at this desk area where I am. Um, I've got one of these desks that lift up so I can type here and things like that. Every day I look at it and go, what one thing can I do to make this tidier or cleaner? Because it's still got quite a lot of stuff on it. And that is what I'm working on. What one thing can I do? As I walk past into my living room, the fireplace area to my left here, what one thing can I put away that will make this look tidier? I want to tell you, it's a really fun trick. You only need to move one thing and put it away. And you will be amazed how the clutter disappears just by moving one thing every day. Do I really, for example, I know this is going to surprise you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 coasters on here. Now, you and I both know I don't need 7 coasters here. All right, so Alice is saying, Sal, you know me. Can you believe I only wear a minimum amount of makeup when I go to work and none on the other days? Yes, Alice, I can. And the reason I can believe it is I know you're growing. And when I say growing, right, it's the same thing as, I will put on makeup normally to do a broadcast, but there's a different reason why I put it on. Because to me, doing a broadcast is a bit like going out, all right? And so, but again, look at me. Not a whole lot of makeup, but you definitely do that. Do you know how many times, Alice, I actually put on perfume to do a broadcast? And I said to myself one day, why do I do that? Because to me, doing a broadcast is a bit like going out. All right. Even though I can't see you, I want to feel that. So yeah, I believe you, Alice. And you've grown so much, as have we all right, in different ways. I definitely am certain that if you had asked Kimmy a year ago whether she would be able to cope with having a pacemaker put in her body and deal with all the stress about going in for that operation and all that stress coming out of it, whether it would work or not, I am pretty certain she'd tell you she didn't think she could. Right. And Alice is saying, maybe I just got lazy, all right, or ran out of money. You know something? I don't think it's about that. I think what surprised me, Alice, it's a bit like stop dyeing my hair. Yeah, stop pretending that I was gray. It was the most liberating thing. And I love being gray now. Isn't that funny? It's just like, I didn't think it was going to end up looking halfway decent, and it did. And then I went, wow, it's like, and my hair just feels much better in terms of its quality. It has curls in it that it didn't have at the bottom here for some reason. I have I don't put those in, right? I have done nothing but wash my hair. And if you can see them, I've got these funny curls that are underneath. And it's just like, I don't know where they came from, but I'm happy to have them. All right, so Alice is making sure that Kimmy is all right mentally and getting help. And Kimmy's saying that she has been getting help, and I'm delighted to hear that. Yeah, Alice is saying, I haven't dyed my hair in 4 years, and my gray is starting to come in. Yeah, it's like, I'm okay with it. I don't think I look, I don't think I look way older because of my, you see, there's the thing, right? Most people don't want to go gray because they don't want people to know how old they are. I would like to suggest that it has very little to do with your hair. Right? I think how old you are and how old you look has a lot to do with your voice tone and your energy and everything else. I don't know why, but other than the fact that obviously I've got gray hair, but other than that, people normally completely get my age wrong. All right, and in fact, when I tell them how old they are, they just go, "No, there's no way." And I go, "Yeah, actually, yeah." So I think it has a lot to do with your mentality and who you are as a person. So go through life. This is again. I could still be struggling. Alice, you know why I think I'm doing so well? I'm doing so much. Yeah. All right. It's because I'm doing so much. It's like I haven't been curled up in bed trying to cope with the pain of a mastectomy. I have been forcing my body to work to help it recover from a mastectomy. There's a difference in that. Do you understand? One is a proactive thing. And, as soon as the surgeon said to me, "Sal, in terms of the exercise that you are planning, overdo it, don't underdo it. You will be so grateful." When I went back to see her two weeks after the op, she just looked at me and laughed. I mean, after she told me the good news, but she just looked at me and laughed because I was already able to do this, right? I was already able to lift all these muscles here to this level. I wasn't allowed to lift past there, to move past there for the first 2 weeks. But the third week, when the surgeon saw how well I was doing this, she said to me, "Okay, go ahead, do whatever you want to do, because whatever you are doing is working really well." And she said, "I would not expect this ability already." And then what I did was I came home and found out I could actually do way more. I could actually almost get my arm straight. By the way, this is my good arm. I can straighten it to that level. This is my bad one. Look at that. Pretty darn good for 3 weeks. So here is the thing. I started off with a quote that said, recovery is much part of having good friends as well. I have nothing but good things to say about my friends. And boy, do you find out who your friends are. No doubt about that. But I am really proud of myself. And there's a voice in my head from the nuns going, "But pride comes before a fall." But the truth is that I am really proud of myself. I have not orphalized this. I have not used it to my detriment. I have done as much as I possibly could in my mind and in my body to get over this and be back to normal again. And yes, the outcome could have been very different. And for a lot of people, it is. But I want to tell you, I am happy to be alive. Yeah, Kimmy's saying I still have to stretch because it gets tight in my armpit and chest. Yeah, I want to tell you, I am still really quite tender here, Kimmy. And I am tender under here. It's, I'm really swollen under here, and I don't know if you can see how swollen this arm is. But it is really quite swollen here. But to me, that is all part of the healing. I can really feel every now and then I feel a twinge, and it's almost painful. But I go, you know what it is? It's my body healing. That's what's hurting. Because I'll be sitting doing nothing in particular, and suddenly I get a twinge, and I go, "Oh, okay, buddy, you're busy trying to put those two bits together." Yeah, and Kimmy's saying she's got a big lump still, all right, a year later in both places, all right? So that's a discussion that you can have with your doctor. Alice has very kindly sent me some massage things. By the way, Alice, my people did actually give me that information about the massage. I quite honestly haven't done it yet because it's still so sore. And Kimmy is saying, yeah, she still has burning and jabbing feelings. Yes. So again, keep notes on that, Kimmy, and make sure that you get those questions answered. I still have some of the notes that you cannot believe how many questions I asked my um, surgeon. All right. And I didn't, to me, it was like, I need these questions answered. Right? It's not that I'm being stupid. I need these questions answered. I want to know why it looked like one surgeon had done these stitches to here, but from this point to this point, a totally different person. And I actually asked my surgeon, did somebody finish closing up for you? Because that's what it looked like. But what it was, she said, no, actually, it's one long continuous stitch all the way to here. I did the whole thing in one long continuous thing. The problem was that this had already started to heal and all this was still horrifically swollen. Therefore, it looked like two different people had done the work. And now it's beginning to go down. It's beginning to look like one scar now. Wow, isn't that interesting? Hi, Pollyanna. It's good to see you. Hi, honey. And she's saying, I've been a fan of yours ever since I saw you on JTV over a decade ago. Yeah, it's actually about a decade ago, just on. All right. I think I celebrated on August the 25th. And I didn't leave blog TV until March. So that would have been 9 years ago. Yeah. So, interesting. Hey? Well, good to see you. Thank you. And, what I always have said to you guys is that I would tell you the truth as best I can. Quite honestly, my truth today is if you had told me I was going to have a boob removed and lymph nodes taken out, and that 3 weeks later I'd be sitting here talking to you, being able to do this, and by the way, do this. You know how many muscles you use to swim? All right. I would have said, no way. I've got what, 20 stitches? One stitch, it turns out, but it took basically 20 stitches to go in there, right? That's a huge operation. It's bigger than the 17 I've got down my stomach. So did I think I was going to be doing that? No way. So if you hear anybody is getting a mastectomy, you tell them it's going to be sore the first week. The second week, you'll be amazed at your recovery. And by the third week, you'll probably be back to normal if you keep using your body in recovery. In other words, I believe what I can do now is not because I sat around doing diddly. I believe I worked my body to make it, keep the everything flowing. I didn't want to end up with lymphoderma. I didn't want to, because that's a very real concern after you've had this. I didn't want any of that to happen. Do you know that now, because I've had these lymph nodes removed, I am more susceptible to infection on my right side? I've got to be really careful about not getting too many cuts and bruises on my right side. I can no longer have my blood taken from my right side because I'm more susceptible to infection on my right side. Therefore, it has to come from my left. I need to get my blood pressure taken from my left side, not my right. There are so many things that you need to change once you've had this that I didn't know about. But it's a small price to pay for freedom. So anybody you know And by the way, the best present you can give them, if you want to give them a present, is, the boob cover for when they come out of the operation and go home, right? I want to tell you that is the scariest thing, is having that stitch like this. And literally 4 hours later, I was getting into a car and had to have a seatbelt put on me. And you're going, if something funny happens in the car, I could pop that stitch. So I want to tell you that there's part of me that wants to keep the stuff that I've got, so that if I hear anybody else is having it, I will walk or drive to them and to go, here are the things I really recommend. Yes, absolutely, Kimmy. And I just want to repeat, yeah, Kimmy had the pacemaker put in a year ago. She's saying they got mad at me because I wouldn't keep still. Who is they, by the way, Kimmy? Because I wouldn't keep still after surgery. I don't like to just sit still. I like to start recovering. Yes, I was given that word from my surgeon. Sal, the sooner you get back to normal, the better for your body. The nurses, all right? Yeah, the same thing. When I came out of the operation, they wanted me to lie down. I said, nope, not interested. I want to sit up. Why? I wanted to cough the stuff out of my lungs. I knew I'd had that tube down my throat, and I needed to get stuff out of my lungs. I knew that I needed to do that to be well and move on to the next section. I get out of that post-op room into the regular room. I said, don't lie me down. I don't want to lie down. But you've just had a major. I said, I don't want to lie down. Sit me up, please. You see, it's your body. And I can't see as much when I'm lying down. You know how nosy I am. I want to see what's going on with other people. Lordy. I've had a lot of laughs, I must admit. All right, so there we go, people. I can now check another thing off my list. I am now able to do a 2-hour vlog broadcast. That's awesome. I'm going to think about whether I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a broadcast tonight if I can get that computer working. If I can't get it working, then I'm not going to, because then it's too much hassle. But I will put up a note to let you know about the broadcast if I can. I'm just going to go and work on that computer now, see if I can get it going properly. And if so, then I will put up a notification about this evening's broadcast. Fair enough? Right. Alice is saying, all right, about this doing things in recovery. She said, you would have to knock me out or put me to sleep to keep me from moving around. Yes. And I believe that is absolutely the reason why I recovered as quickly as I did. I did not stay in bed. Not even the first day was I in bed, except for the normal time that I would have to sleep. I got up every day. I went up and downstairs every day. Dougie's house, I was living upstairs. I was sleeping upstairs, so every day I was going up and down the stairs. And by the way, I would need something from the bedroom, and Jess would say, I'll go get it for you, Sal. I said, no, thank you. I need to go up and downstairs. It's good for my body. It would take me a long time. And the problem going up the stairs is you hold on with your right hand. And I was going up the stairs sort of half sideways because I needed to have the balance on this hand, not on this hand. So, but I did. And I did it every day. I went for a walk, or I was on my bicycle, my mini bike every day. So I believe that's why I am where I am. All right, everybody. I may or may not see you this evening. I'll put a note up. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you all for being here. And understand, like everything else in life, it's not what happens to you. Remember the song, The Gambler? It's not the cards. You to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Right? It's like, it's not about the cards you get given. It's how you play those cards that makes the difference. And you can either sit and feel sorry for yourself, which I assure you I could have done. I could have worried myself into immense depression and sickness before I even had the operation. What I'm really looking at now is how can I help other people who have to go through this? So, everybody, we will or will not see you this evening. I'll let you know. This is DearMamaSal saying, know this. If any of your friends need to go through this, it's doable. It's not pleasant. It's doable. Very doable. And 3 weeks later, if they do the work, they will be basically back to normal. This is DearMamaSal saying, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.